The expansion of Ottoman territory into the Aegean and Macedonia was a critical phase in the Ottoman Empire's growth and consolidation of power in southeastern Europe. This period, which spanned the late 14th and early 15th centuries, marked a transformation from a regional Anatolian power to a global empire with vast control over both European and Asian territories. The Ottomans, under Sultan Mehmed I and his successors, made significant territorial gains through military campaigns, alliances, and a series of strategic conquests that helped secure their dominance over the Balkans and the Aegean. The Ottomans' initial foothold in the Aegean came after the capture of Adrianople in 1361, which served as a key military and administrative base for their subsequent expansion into the Balkans and the Aegean. After Adrianople, the Ottomans began a series of military campaigns in the Balkans, targeting both Christian kingdoms and Byzantine remnants that still held sway in the region. The Ottomans, already dominant in Anatolia, began to eye the Aegean Sea, a critical region for trade and military access to Europe. By the mid-14th century, the Aegean Sea had become a key strategic target for the Ottomans, not only for its strategic location, but also for its economic and naval importance. The region had long been a source of contention between the Byzantine Empire, the Venetian Republic, and the Genoese, all of whom sought control over the lucrative trade routes passing through the Aegean. The Ottomans, under Sultan Mehmed I, were quick to capitalize on the weakening Byzantine Empire and the growing instability in the region. The Ottomans' expansion into the Aegean Islands began in earnest after the Ottoman conquest of Thessalonica in 1387. This city, one of the most important urban centers of the Byzantine Empire, was strategically located at the crossroads of Europe and Asia and controlled key land routes leading to the heart of the Balkans. Its capture allowed the Ottomans to control not only the land routes, but also crucial Aegean ports, allowing them to dominate trade and military access to the Western Mediterranean. As the Ottomans consolidated their control over Thessalonica, they began to target other key Aegean territories, including islands that had long been held by Venetians and Genoese merchants. The Ottomans' strategy was a combination of military conquest and diplomatic alliances with local rulers. One of the key tactics employed by the Ottomans was their use of alliances with local Muslim populations on the Aegean Islands. These alliances helped them gain support in places where Christian resistance was weak or fragmented. By the end of the 14th century, the Ottomans had established a significant naval presence in the Aegean, threatening the interests of Venice and other European powers who had long controlled trade in the region. The Ottoman navy, although still in its infancy, began to grow and become more effective at blockading Venetian ports and controlling key shipping routes. This growing Ottoman naval presence was crucial for securing the empire's control over the Aegean, as it allowed the Ottomans to restrict European access to key territories in the region. Simultaneously, the Ottomans were advancing their control into Macedonia, a region of strategic military importance. Macedonia was a region rich in resources, and it provided the Ottomans with access to critical military routes into Central and Eastern Europe. The Battle of Kosovo in 1389, though a stalemate, played a significant role in weakening Serbia, which had previously been a dominant power in the Balkans. With Serbia weakened, the Ottomans were able to advance into Macedonia and integrate it into the expanding Ottoman Empire. The conquest of Macedonia provided the Ottomans with important military advantages, as it served as a gateway to further expansion into Greece and Bulgaria. The Ottoman army, well organized and loyal, quickly overran much of the region, aided by the Balkan divisions between rival Christian kingdoms. The Ottomans used divide-and-rule tactics, forging alliances with local nobles and encouraging them to accept Ottoman sovereignty in exchange for political autonomy. This approach allowed the Ottomans to avoid prolonged and costly military engagements, while ensuring the stability of their new territories. One of the key advantages the Ottomans had during their expansion into the Aegean and Macedonia was the use of their naval forces in conjunction with their land forces. The Ottomans were able to use their navy to control the Aegean Sea, while their military campaigns in Macedonia effectively neutralized opposition from the Serbs and other regional powers. By the end of the 14th century, the Ottomans had consolidated control over key territories in the Aegean and Macedonia, securing their position as the dominant power in the Balkans. In conclusion, the Ottoman expansion into the Aegean and Macedonia during the late 14th century was a critical phase in the empire's rise to power. The Ottomans' ability to combine military conquests, strategic alliances, and naval power allowed them to establish control over these vital regions, setting the stage for further expansion into Europe. Their control over the Aegean not only provided them with crucial economic and military advantages, but also solidified their position as the preeminent power in southeastern Europe. The capture of Macedonia and the Aegean laid the groundwork for the Ottoman Empire's dominance in Europe for centuries to come. The success of the Ottoman Empire's expansion into the Aegean and Macedonia laid the groundwork for further conquests in southeastern Europe. Once the Ottomans had secured key territories such as Thessalonica and much of Macedonia, they were poised to extend their reach into Greece and Albania, regions that were vital for control over the Mediterranean and the Balkans. However, the Ottomans faced increasing resistance from both local rulers and European powers, particularly the Venetians, who had historically controlled trade and influence in the Aegean. The Ottomans' primary military strategy in the region was a combination of siege warfare, naval supremacy, and the use of elite military units such as the Janissaries. Their ability to employ both land and naval forces effectively allowed them to control key ports and trade routes, which was essential for their ongoing military campaigns. Sultan Mehmed I had already established a strong military and administrative framework in the empire, but it was Sultan Mehmed II, also known as Mehmed the Conqueror, who would push the Ottomans' territorial claims to their furthest reaches during the 15th century. Following his conquest of Constantinople in 1453, Mehmed II set his sights on the Aegean Islands and Greece. Recognizing that control over the Aegean would not only solidify Ottoman power in the Balkans, but would also give the Ottomans access to crucial trade routes that connected Europe and Asia. The capture of Constantinople had already severed Byzantine influence in the region, and the Ottomans now sought to dismantle any remaining Christian presence in the Aegean. Over the course of the 15th century, the Ottomans began to methodically expand their control over the islands of the Aegean Sea, including the Cyclades, Dodecanese, and Chios. One of the key territories in the Aegean was Lesbos, an island that had been under Genoese control. The Ottoman conquest of Lesbos in 1462, under the leadership of Mehmed II, was a major military and diplomatic victory for the Ottomans. The Genoese, who had once been a significant force in the Aegean, were now effectively pushed out by the Ottomans, further consolidating their control over the region. The fall of Lesbos to the Ottomans not only gave them control of a vital Aegean island, but also strengthened their strategic position in the region by cutting off any remaining maritime resistance from European powers. Simultaneously, the Ottomans faced challenges in Macedonia from the Hungarians, who had long been a powerful presence in the Balkans. King Matthias Corvinus of Hungary attempted to halt the Ottoman advance in the region, particularly after the Battle of Kosovo in 1389 and the subsequent Ottoman expansion into Macedonia. However, by the mid-15th century, the Ottomans had successfully integrated much of Macedonia into their empire, neutralizing Hungarian influence and positioning the Ottomans as the dominant power in southeastern Europe. The capture of Skopje in 1460 further cemented Ottoman control over Macedonia, and it was soon made a key provincial capital within the expanding empire. The Ottomans' control over Macedonia had significant cultural and economic implications. The region, with its fertile agricultural lands and important trade routes, became integral to the Ottoman economy. The Ottomans invested in infrastructure, building mosques, madrasas, and caravanserais to facilitate both military and civilian operations. The Ottomans also worked to integrate the local population into the empire, employing a combination of military presence and religious tolerance to gain the loyalty of Christian subjects, while also promoting Islamic culture and practices. Macedonian Muslims, many of whom were converts from the local Christian population, began to play important roles in the Ottoman military and administration, further solidifying Ottoman rule. Meanwhile, the Ottomans' expansion into the Aegean also had a profound impact on Venetian trade and control over the region. The Venetians, who had long controlled key Aegean islands such as Crete and Rhodes, saw their influence dramatically reduced, as the Ottomans gradually took over these strategic territories. The capture of Crete in 1669 was one of the final steps in the Ottomans' consolidation of the Aegean. Although Venetian resistance continued in some parts of the region, the fall of Venetian power in the Aegean and the Balkans gave the Ottomans a free hand in controlling the maritime trade routes that linked Europe, Asia, and Africa. Through a combination of military dominance, cultural integration, and strategic alliances, the Ottoman Empire was able to secure its position as the dominant force in the Aegean and Macedonia. The consolidation of control over the Balkans and surrounding areas helped to establish the Ottomans as one of the most powerful empires in the world, while the Ottomans faced continued challenges from rival European powers. The expansion of Ottoman influence in the Aegean and Macedonia marked a defining moment in the empire's rise to global prominence. By the late 15th century, the Ottoman Empire had successfully consolidated its control over both the Aegean Sea and Macedonia, extending its influence in southeastern Europe and the Mediterranean. The Ottoman strategic use of military strength, diplomatic alliances, and religious tolerance enabled them to integrate the Balkans into their ever-expanding empire. The consolidation of Ottoman power in the Aegean and Macedonia had lasting cultural, economic, and political impacts on the region, as the Ottomans left an indelible mark on the Balkans' architecture, governance, and social structures. One of the key elements of Ottoman success in these regions was their ability to manage diverse populations and create a system of governance that balanced the religious, ethnic, and cultural diversity in the territories they controlled. The millet system played a crucial role in maintaining stability, as it allowed religious communities to govern their own internal affairs, while remaining loyal to the Ottoman Sultan. This system fostered cooperation between the Ottoman rulers and local populations, enabling the empire to manage conquered lands without widespread rebellion. In the Aegean, the Ottoman navy was essential in securing control of key islands and maintaining naval dominance over Venetian and Genoese interests in the region. The Ottomans were able to establish strongholds on islands like Lesbos, Crete, and Rhodes, which provided strategic military outposts and commercial ports. These islands not only facilitated the Ottomans' ability to control maritime trade routes, but also acted as bases for further expansion into the Mediterranean. The capture of Rhodes in 1522 was a significant victory for the Ottomans, allowing them to secure their dominance over the eastern Mediterranean. At the same time, the Ottomans worked to integrate the Aegean islands into their economic system. They encouraged trade through Ottoman-controlled ports, which allowed the empire to benefit from the wealth of the Aegean. Agricultural goods, spices, and luxuries from the region flowed into Ottoman markets, fueling the empire's prosperity. The Ottomans also implemented a taxation system that ensured the proper management of the Aegean islands' resources and wealth, which further strengthened their control. In Macedonia, the Ottomans continued to build upon their military conquests by establishing a strong administrative presence. The region's strategic location, with its access to trade routes and military pathways into Central Europe, made it an essential part of the empire's southeastern European dominance. The Ottoman provincial system was employed to ensure control over Macedonia, with beys overseeing the administration of local affairs. The Ottomans allowed the local elites to retain a certain degree of power in exchange for their loyalty to the Sultan, a tactic that helped to ensure the stability of Ottoman rule. Ottoman cultural influence also spread throughout the Balkans during this period. The construction of mosques, schools, and public buildings transformed the cultural landscape of Macedonia and the Aegean islands. Ottoman architecture, characterized by mosques, imperial buildings, and bridges, became a defining feature of the region. These cultural and religious landmarks not only symbolized the Ottoman presence, but also helped integrate Islamic culture into the diverse and multi-ethnic regions of the Balkans. As the Ottoman Empire continued to expand throughout the 15th century, the Aegean and Macedonia became key regions in their broader imperial strategy. The empire's control over these territories not only secured its access to vital resources and trade routes, but also positioned it as a major power in southeastern Europe and the Mediterranean. The Ottoman success in the Aegean and Macedonia helped propel their empire into a new era of global prominence, establishing the foundation for centuries of Ottoman rule. In conclusion, the Ottoman expansion into the Aegean and Macedonia was a transformative period for both the Ottomans and the region. Through a combination of military conquest, strategic alliances, and cultural integration, the Ottomans were able to secure dominance over southeastern Europe, laying the groundwork for the empire's future success. The Aegean and Macedonia became integral parts of the Ottoman Empire, contributing to its power, prosperity, and influence. The lasting impact of Ottoman rule in these regions can still be seen in their architecture, cultural legacy, and administrative systems today.